Listen, I was talking to Ayesha Harris, who has a role in the series Daisy in the Six, playing currently on Prime Video. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So, we know this is a fictional story about a group of a band that's retelling their story of how they began and how they broke up somewhat. What
Mhm.
more can you say about the series before we get into the character you're playing?
Ooh, I don't want to give out any spoilers. This movie. I mean, I'm sorry, this movie. This show is it's an incredible show to watch. I think it's very cinematic. It makes you feel like you're in a film. The way that they describe the characters, the way they take you on kind of like this roller coaster ride with them, and seeing like how their lives kind of intertwine with the group in their own ebbs and flows of life. I think it's incredibly shot. I don't want to give out too much because if you're watching it now, if I say one little thing, you're going to know exactly what happens. But it's definitely worth the watch.
And what's the role you're playing?
I'm playing Bernie, opposite of Nabiyah Be. I played DJ in New York City in the 70s, and I'm here to curate sound and hold space for the community.
Mhm. So how did this role come about for you? Was this something you auditioned? Did they come to you? Did you have to do anything special to audition? Like, did you have to know music? Did you know have to play anything? Or how did it come about?
Thank God I didn't have to sing. I might not have got it if I would have sung, but I did audition for it. The process is pretty standard as far as the auditioning and then going in. But the role, as soon as I got the sides for the audition, it felt special. It felt like somebody really took the time not only to like write this and make it feel real, but sometimes you get sides for an audition that aren't that good. It felt like they really gave you a lot of information because they wanted to see what you can do, and the auditioning process went really well.
Mhm. Now, most of your scenes are opposite. Um, how do you say
Now,
Nayaba?
Nabia,
Nabia. Yeah.
yeah.
It's not try to butcher it. I'll let you say it. So yeah, so most of your scenes are opposite Nabia. Did you have to do a screen test chemistry read with her or so forth?
Yeah, we did. We did a chemistry read. It went really well. We did it with Nzinga Stewart and Nabia and a few others. It's always nervous when people are staring at you in a room and say action, but everybody made me feel really comfortable. And yeah, the chemistry read went fantastic.
Hmm. Now, the music is around the late 60s, 70s, or so forth. How much music do you remember from that time period? And is there a certain favorite?
Oh wow. Well, yeah, I grew up an 80s baby, so I got a lot of the disco runoff. Rick James was always my favorite. I don't know if he classifies as disco, but Rick was always a standout. Thelma Houston, I love Donna Summer. Um, I'm not sure. I guess Parliament was a little bit before. I feel like they kind of laid the foundation for the theatrics of disco.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a big funk girl as well.
And so, when you're playing opposite, granted, you're not working opposite everyone in the series, but did you get a chance to talk with everybody? Because sometimes, when you're on a set and like you said, most of your scenes are opposite Nabia, but you still want to feel connected, with the entire series. So did you get a chance to talk with everybody else in the cast?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of the shooting that we were doing in New Orleans, the whole cast was there. So if we weren't shooting together, we were having dinner together or having drinks downstairs or something like that. I definitely worked with Riley, Gavin a bunch, obviously Navia Tom. So yeah, just really getting to know everyone was it was nice. It was a real treat. Everybody's very professional, so it was a really easy crew.
Now, did you have to do any sort of deep dive into the background? Did you give yourself a background to your character that's not on a page? And did you do any sort of deep dive in terms of, what was it like, in that setting during that time period?
I did. I did some research on a woman by the name of Jewel Williams, a entrepreneur here in Los Angeles who ran the longest gay club in LA and is still running to this day. She's always been an idol of mine, and watching a docu series on her, amongst many other things, but really her in particular. As far as like how she created the space during a time where Black women just weren't owning clubs for, and especially not gay clubs. Um, and her tenacity and watching how she developed from the ground up really gave me some inspiration for Bernie. I don't want to give it away, but they have a lot of similarities.
You know, the gay scene in that area, obviously it's the 70s. It's there, but it's quiet. It's low key. It's, down low, specifically amongst, Black individuals. As you just mentioned, it wasn't as out there as it is. And we're not giving anything away. But how much did you give into that when when you were doing this, when you were playing this role?
Well, yeah, because it's like this fine balance of like showing your character being boisterous and living out loud while also respecting that during that time, that really could be very dangerous. So showing the character and showing how she established herself during that time, but also her realizing the circumstances around her, but also trying to encourage her counterpart Nabiyah that no matter how crazy it is out there, we have created a space where we can be ourselves here. So if we can't be who we are there, we can be safe here, and really showing that in film.
Mhm. I know you've worked on other projects. You mentioned and Zinga Stewart, was the director of the least that you did. What's your takeaway from her direction in playing this role that's different from others that you worked with, but from her direction that you can take on to your next project?
To take my time and be in the moment as much as possible. People always tell you to do that, but Nzinga was really good, and Will Graham for that matter, of letting you drop in and find your moment first. So realizing that there's no rushing the process, and her really giving that type of space, I'll bring with me, whether it's given or not, that it should be taken, the space to do your craft.
What goes into saying yes to the projects you take? When you obviously we're all looking for work, we all want to make money, but at the same time, you want to do something that you feel comfortable in. So, what goes into projects either that your team talks to you about, or something that you want to do?
Yeah, I think you really have to not think no that you have to speak with your team because they will filter what they put in front of you. So you don't have to make hard decisions on what you want to take and what you shouldn't take, or what do you think is proper for your trajectory. So my manager, my agents, publicists, they all have a hand in the direction of where my career is being crafted. So I don't really have those particular problems. But if I did, it would just be about voicing, what it is that I want to work on, and not like taking food out of my mouth or anything like that, but realizing that all money isn't good money, and everything on the table you don't have to grab.
Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, the show's gotten positive reviews. People are watching it. People are trying to connect dots with who they may be relating to in real
Yeah.
life in that time period. I've seen it all. I've really enjoyed it. At the end, we've got more weeks to go before people watch the finale.
Yeah.
Where do you go from here?
Well, I mean, other than other projects that I've worked on, I mean, I feel like since you've seen the film or the television show, I would be open to a spinoff. I think that time period, needs to be spoken about more. I feel like they kind of poke their head in to see what that world is, but I think there's a lot of space story to be told about that demographic in that time period for sure. So more story about Black queer New York City in disco time in any capacity would be welcome.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any other projects coming up that we'll see you in?
Yeah, so I just wrapped up a feature film with Lil Rel and Rainn Wilson called Code 3, which is hilarious. It's about a paramedic team and a man who's going to retire, and it's his last day on the job and all the whimsical antics he gets into. And I just finished up a series with Netflix called Glamorous that will be out in June, and that's starring aside Miss Benny and Kim Cattrall, which was an incredible experience. And yeah, it's a great show, and I can't wait for everybody to see it.
But in the meantime, we have this show. We have more weeks to go with this series that people are enjoying and watching you and seeing where your character goes, along with the rest of the cast in the show. Congratulations on this show. Obviously, as you mentioned, you got other projects that hopefully we'll talk about when it comes out. So best of luck with everything else going on, and talk to you later.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Wilson. I appreciate it.